Alright, this video is going to demonstrate how to move the sprite and how to reset it if he accidentally goes off the screen. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over a control thing that says when the green flag is clicked, and now whenever I click the green flag, I will execute a program. That was from the control tab. Now I'm going to go over to the motion tab and I'm going to pull out a move. Now when I move 10 steps, it doesn't really move the sprite very far, you'll see as I click. So I like to have a little bit more substantial movement. I'm going to change it to move 50. And now when I click the flag, the sprite moves 50. However, what happens when he goes off the screen? So one of the cool things that you have in the Snap that you can check on your sprite is you always know your sprite's X and Y location. If I go down here to these X positions, I can actually pull these out and use these as variables somewhere, and we'll talk about variables later. Or I can check these boxes and I can see the display. So the sprite's Y position didn't change because I just moved completely left, but 280 is off the screen and I don't have any way to really grab the sprite and bring it back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another command structure. So I'm going to go to Control and I'm going to create another command structure. When the space bar is pressed, I am going to want to reset my sprite to where he was when we started. So if you go under motion, you've got a lot of different options under motion, and one of them is go to. So I'm going to take out the go to and I'm going to reset the sprite's position to where its X coordinate and its Y coordinate are both 0. And so now when I snap that and when I hit the space bar, it's going to automatically move my sprite back to 0, 0, and you can see that both of its coordinates are 0, 0. So now I can run my sprite wherever I want to test my program to see if it's working, and then when I'm done I can reset the sprite back to the beginning of the page. Notice that I can either click the green flag here or I can click the green flag up here. You can also make your program to where the the white screen, the place where the sprite moves around, completely fills the screen. It's in full screen mode right now, but I can click the green flag up here. And notice when I click, the sprite was supposed to move 50 and the X position changed by 50. So I went 50 places on the X coordinate and 0 on the Y coordinate. Alright, now let's reset our sprite and then let's pull in something different, or let's add to it. So I also want to I'm going to turn my sprite 60 degrees. And this is a right turn. You can tell by the arrow we've got a left turn up here that we can use as well. So now when I click the green flag, not only is he going to move forward, but then after he moves forward he's going to turn. So we'll see that he moved forward 50, but now you see his direction is facing different. We also have a sprite direction tab, and so apparently facing in this direction is equal to the value 150. We'll talk about what that means in a second. And then when I press the green flag again, he moves. Now notice his Y coordinate is changing. So he's gone below the 0, 0, so this is a negative value. This is a weird decimal value because we moved diagonally 50. So if you know anything about right triangle trigonometry, you basically moved the hypotenuse. And the tip of the sprite is where we're pointing here. And then we move again, and we move again, and now our sprite is just going to start circling. And now we're back to where we begin. So if something happened and my move had been too big, let's change this to 150. If my move had been too big, once again I have the option of moving off the screen. And so now I'll just press the space bar and it'll reset it. However, notice that it didn't reset his direction. So he's facing a different way. So now if I just do the move, he's going to go off the screen the other way. So what I also want to be able to do when I reset my sprite is I want to be able to reset its direction. So you can go down here and you can look at point in direction 90. So when I hit the space bar, basically that's going to look like how the whole thing started out. Alright, so when the space key is pressed, it performs this operation, but do I have to set him to 0, 0? No, I could set him to negative 200, positive 100. Let's see what this will do. And point in direction 90. So when I hit the space bar, he's actually under these things here. Let me turn these things off. And he's actually up here. So, you know, you can reset him wherever we want to on the screen. 0, 0 is the default position when you create a sprite. So now we know how to reset our sprite. What does this point in direction mean? Well, 90 obviously has him going in this direction, and basically what it is it's some kind of circle where right is 90 and left is negative 90 or positive 270. Up is 0 and down is 180. So if I wanted him to point up when I reset him, I would change the pointing direction to 0. So now when I hit the space bar, you'll notice the sprite direction is 0. If I said point in direction 270, that's the same as negative 90. Okay, so think of a circle and think of these in degrees. If you go 90 degrees, you're facing to the left. I'm sorry, you're facing to the right. If you go another 90 degrees, you're facing down. So at 180, you're facing down. If you go another 90 degrees, you're facing to the left, and that's 270. And then if you go back up to 360 and 0 on a circle, those degrees occupy the same spot. So it's basically circular degree coordinates with 0 being straight up. See, if I hit the space at 270, you'll see that he points toward the left. So now we know how to move our sprite around the board. We know how to get him back when we want him to get back to the original position. We know how to check the coordinates of the sprite, and we know how to check the direction of the sprite. The other commands I want to just point your attention towards is there's a point towards, and then if you have the mouse pointer or the center or a random position, even if you have another sprite, you'll have a pull down menu here, and you can point when this command is executed, it'll change the direction based on these things. For example, if I do mouse pointer and instead of point in direction 270, we do this here, and I click the space bar and the mouse is like right here on the screen, it's going to point him towards the mouse. So you can point him however you want to using several different options. We've got a glide command, so let's go ahead and move our sprite down to here. And now instead of go to, let me move these out of the way so we can see, instead of a go to, we're going to glide 1 second. It's going to take us a second to glide to this position, and I'll go ahead and face him to the right. That'll be the default value. So now when I press the spacebar, you see him kind of glide into position and change his position after he's done gliding. You also have a change X by 10, so I could move 150 steps. Let's start out with 20, and then I want to change X by 10. So the first time he moves, he'll move 20, and then I change X by 10, so X gets changed another 10. And then I'm going to move 20 steps, but then X gets changed by 10, so he's moved another. So you can change the X value, you can change the Y value by 10, so this would cause him to kind of move over and down at the same time. I'm sorry, over and up. And so now he's kind of got this stair type movement. So you can do some change values, you can reset X and Y. If on edge bounce means if he's going to go off the screen, he just bounces. So let's see what happens when I throw this on here. See, he bounced back. When he bounced back, he's now facing the other direction. And I have a feeling if he goes off the, they won't even let him go off the top. And then he's going to bounce back over here. So if on edge bounce just keeps him bounded inside. We're going to do a program later on where you have to bound him inside without using if on edge bounce, but I did want to show that one to you. So that's basically all of these very, very basic commands that are in the motion section.